Hi Aquarius, we're doing your April Practically Soulful reading for the month. Now, please be aware that this energy might be permeating. You might have already experienced it. You might be yet to experience it. That simply is when we are integrating higher wisdoms, you know, as human beings, as we're processing fear and the confines and challenges that is the classroom of the ego. Then sometimes we do a bit of a cha-cha, all right? So we step in, step out of our higher wisdom lessons. So just because it applies to the month of April doesn't necessarily mean it is relevant at this point in the timeline. But trust that you're always guided by your higher self and intuition, that you'll find these messages exactly when you need to hear them. And that is my deeper intention with all my readings, okay? So all readings are for empaths, intuitives, sensitives, those that identify to be on an awakening journey, integrating higher wisdom, soul knowing on their path and purpose. And yes, that very much can be applied to the everyday situations that we find ourselves in, Aqua. So relationships are some of the biggest spiritual classrooms we can ever walk through. So to our challenges, our connecting into our purpose and how that might be reflected in career or otherwise, within the families that we have come from, the families that we grow. Soul has a message for us always. Okay, so your cross is the energy that forms the foundation of what you're experiencing for your April Practically Soulful read, okay? So I also like to divide this up into what I call the 4 quadrants. So you might even reflect that back into the 5 levels of being, okay? So that's what I refer to in my work as an energy healer, working with what I fondly call soul ascension healing, is essentially about how we integrate that awakening process through us. And that simply is just transcending outside of doubt, transcending outside of our fears and limitations and anything that we perceive from a mind level to be barriers to growth. Okay, so the 5 levels of being, we are more than just a soul. We are also a physical body, an emotional body, a thought body, and an energy body, okay? Now, no matter where you are and whatever level or dimension you're working within, we work with all of them. We're always oscillating, we're always integrating, and finding that unique balance that works well for you is completely a unique and individual experience for us all right? So the foundational cross of your month tells a bit of a story, and that will then be clarified by the tarot, okay? We can divide that up further still to the 4 weeks of the month, okay? This might reflect 4 different quadrants of your experience, 4 different areas that this energy is playing out on in life, so not just in relationships, sometimes in career, sometimes in whatever the case may be. I like to go a little bit diverse, a little bit deep, a little bit high, and it's all about experiencing growth and clarity towards freedom, yeah? So underneath all this, Aqua, there is the energy and the lessons and wisdoms that we gain from doubt. Are you feeling doubtful? Has this been a big theme for you this month? Has the energy of doubt and recalibrating that heart chakra? Now look at the color of this card. Okay, see, it's a really olive green. Olive green is the color of the higher heart, even the deeper wisdoms of the heart, the divine feminine nature, which essentially is the magic of nurture and truly connecting into that. The energy of doubt is that cha-cha that we do when we're certain, when we're not. And you know, Aqua, you're so good at that. You do have this higher view, you know, you get these sparks of inspiration and knowing, and yet sometimes perhaps, you know, we get influenced by outside energies, external energies to us, external energies that are separate to our inner wisdom, which can ultimately, you know, impact upon our energy, upon our intuition, upon our deeper knowing at times too. So working with the energy of doubt, I feel many have been releasing its powerful effect on you and your growth, because that's what it's all about. It is about growth, okay? There's nothing wrong with experiencing doubt. I personally feel it's when we're integrating wisdom. It's when we're learning to trust intuition. It's when we're learning to decide, do I want to take on board someone else's advice over what I know for myself to be true? What I fondly like to do is, and you know, call it judgment, call it whatever you want, but when we're taking on advice, what works for others is going to be completely different to what works for us. You know, they don't know our heart, they don't know our mind. We live very much within a society that seeks external input. you know, we're not essentially taught to go within, yeah? So doubt often is a very natural outcome that happens when we are conflicted with something we know to be true for ourselves inside, and it then perhaps clashes with an external opinion, an external example, you know, and our past is true. Our past has shown us very real examples of what failure might look like, what love might be like when it comes to experiences. Our past might show us how risky taking a risk is, you know, you apply it however you want. However, all moments are new and true, just like all connections are new and true. And the past doesn't necessarily have 100% say in the truth of what that experience might be for us individually, okay? And I'm going on a bit of a tangent, but I felt like I had to go into detail about that because I feel I'm speaking to Aquariuses that are at influence. Like you have this deeper feeling, you have a deeper knowing, and I can sense that. But the world is showing you otherwise. Your reality is showing you otherwise. Your past has shown you otherwise. But there's something stronger calling to you, you know. And I think for the most Aquas that I'm connecting into, what you're ultimately pushing through is the wisdom of adversity. Now, yeah, I get it. You've been through stuff that has hurt you. You've been through stuff where taking a risk was proved to be completely... you proved yourself right when it came to your fears, is what I'm hearing. Perhaps, you know, we were grown in an environment or within a family unit that showed us what safety looks like, and to be safe, to make practical choices, not to step outside of the grain too much, perhaps. But you're our Aquarius. You have had this ingrained knowing for a very long time, since you were a young child, that the way things are is not how they should be, you know, how you have continually tried to fit puzzle pieces together that, you know, society has offered you and that you knew from a heart level to be true for you. And that can apply to anything, how love should be, what freedom truly is when it comes to being a gift and as a presence in our life. How we work and contribute within community, what optimism, the role of optimism in all things, you know. I feel in many ways Aquarius is, and just going by the essence of your sign, it's very natural to fall into this continual crossroads where you're choosing defeat, you know, you're choosing to either just do it because that's how it's done here, that's the rules that we have to play here, that's the rules that we have to play in this workplace, this world, this relationship, or whatever the case may be, Aquarius, you know. And there's also another band of Aquariuses that are very, very familiar with that inner fire, you know, that despite how it's done, I will just do it, I'll do it my way. So I feel I'm speaking to Aquariuses that are integrating the wisdom of adversity and looking at your path to date and everything you've learned, you know. Let's not look at the dark experiences as warnings for what we could potentially avoid in the future. Let's look at the dark experiences and the times we have grown in the past as exactly that. Adversity has been a wonderful teacher for you, you know, because underneath all this, underneath what you are sprouting seeds from, what you are trying to essentially build new foundations upon, is the energy and this newfound wisdom you are learning, integrating, choosing to engage in, newfound wisdoms of what it is, what it means to be abundant, okay? Adversity has taught you a lot about the value of abundance, and you can look at that in many, many different ways, Aqua. That's, you know, how grateful we are to have extra finances because of the times when we had to struggle and had to do without, and make some sacrifices. Adversity has taught you the value of, you know, when you're going through a lot of stress and a lot of responsibilities or whatever the case may be, the stuff that keeps you up late at night, you know, that the adversity of experiencing a heavy load of responsibilities when you feel like you're carrying the world on your shoulders, and in many ways you do, we appreciate the abundance of what peace feels like, what it feels like to have to wake up and do whatever we want today because we're not going to work and we're having the day off, or whatever the case may be, you know. Adversity has been a big teacher for you, and what you're ultimately working on this month, Aqua, is you're completely starting afresh when it comes to building new ground based on an original blueprint knowing. Now, this feels very much like, now go back, I think it's 2 weeks, I talked in a weekly reading for you about you are the bringer of, you know, you are the bringer of this new energy. Okay, I've mentioned it in a couple of your readings actually. So go back and have a look at your 2 weekly readings, your 3 weekly readings that I've done. Oh no, this will be the 3rd week. About this energy that you are birthing. Many Aquariuses are feeling this on an energetic collective level, you know. This is connecting into old dreams, old knowings, original wisdoms, okay, when it comes to souls or purpose. And you don't have to go and set up shop as some sort of spiritual advisor, you know, you very well may be. However, this is, you know, many Aquariuses are finding themselves upon new ground, okay, upon new paths. And whether that means you had to go through adversity so that your old world would crumble and force you towards the direction you are meant to go. That's relationships, that's realities, that's career, that's everything. That's you battling that internal divine fire that's really calling for you to push towards a new direction, you know. So I feel like in many ways there are Aquariuses that have had a massive 2 years in the last 2 years when it comes to all of this that I'm talking about. But I do want to say, what centers you this month is the wisdom of adversity. You know what you don't want. You know what you do. You know how you're going to go about this, okay? Because you know what you've got coming up. What you've got coming up, I'm going to talk about it now. What you've got coming up is freedom, okay? I just keep getting a visual of an Aquarius that is standing within a dark room, a dark city, a dark everything that has never matched your light. And many, many times over, you have had to compromise yourself, your beliefs, your desires. You've taken on a role as the light. I'll be the light in this situation. I'll be the more forgiving one. I'll not voice my truth. I'll cop this on the chin, you know. And in many, many ways, you have become comfortable with what it is like to not feel free, because that's just what this world is. That's just what love is like. That's just what relationships like. That's just what careers are like. That's just what life is like. We have to push ourselves to make a coin, or whatever the case may be, okay? Like, I keep getting a visual of an Aquarius that is watching this whole dark world around them crumble. And it was always at their will and choosing. You have wanted this for a very long time, is what I keep hearing. And you know, it is this shift, this transition is going, I can guarantee you, I'm covered in goosebumps now. It is going to come packaged in adversity. It is going to come packaged in circumstances, experiences that are going to ultimately shock you and shift you out of this old role you played. Now, this could even be a 2-year story for many of you. This could be something that's permeating now. This could be recent. It ultimately had to happen to shock you and shift you out of this old paradigm where you chose to sacrifice your higher truth. You blended in with the crowd. You went along with the grain. And that is not your role. You know, in the tarot, you are the star. Star of the show, whatever you want to call it. You are something cosmic that is not of the earth. Okay, and that's not about working with the shadow elements and feeling superior, all right? You have never been like everyone else. You have never and you have probably even positioned yourself within adversity to show a lot of people how to get out into freedom. whether that comes packaged as a supportive friend, whether that comes packaged as someone that literally empties their pockets because they don't want their friends and family to experience lack, adversity, whatever the case may be. You have emptied and given and sacrificed to the point that you became the very thing that you were trying to transform. I just keep seeing an Aquarius standing within a landscape and everything is crumbling down, and you are seeing that you have called this forth, you have wanted this for a very long time. And like I said, this crumbling, you know, that's going to feel, holy goodness, that's going to feel scary. That's going to come packaged as experiences that will ultimately challenge you to your core, but I will guarantee you this will deliver you to yourself. This may have been, and you know, the process of awakening, the process of connecting into our deeper soul truths, I'm not going to lie, it's not a comfortable or easy process. And so on a soul level, we know that we want that light. We know that we want to connect to that authentic truth and wisdom of ourselves. But then, you know, authenticity is not an easy outfit to pull off. So sometimes we have to experience this in dribs and drabs across years, you know. Sometimes we experience it in one shock and go, okay? And it all depends on the soul. It all depends on the individual that has chosen. This is a very powerful, specific message. Because in the past, you're walking away from self-esteem. This is not... Look, and I am passionate about Aquariuses because you guys are leading the charge. You are the new energy. We don't know how to do this without your guidance. And now I don't mean to say that without making you feel like there's some heavy load of responsibility. But you have subconsciously taken on board a weight upon your shoulders that was the wrong thing to carry. What you should have done, I'm not in the business of telling people what they should be doing. It's like a long time ago you dropped the original game plan. A long time ago you chose to settle. A long time ago you chose to blend in. A long time ago you chose to follow the rules. And that's all well and good because it's a survival mechanism, yeah? It is a survival mechanism. But everything changes. From here on, the next 5 years for Aquarius are massive. I cannot stress this enough. I would encourage everyone to follow Aquarius readings, you know, especially if you have Aquarius anywhere in your chart. There is a new way of doing things on every level, and you guys embody the core truth of that if this is your sun sign, okay? You're walking away from issues around self-esteem, okay? So whether that's attracting partners because we're satisfying some deeper beliefs that are centered on fear, centered on what should and shouldn't be, you know, to have company rather than not, whatever the case may be. Like I feel like this is an Aquarius that just settled in many, many different ways, okay? And at the base of all that was an imbalanced sense of esteem, okay? But you have grown, you are blooming. You would have felt this in the last 4 months particularly. The last 4 years have been powerful wisdom teachers for you in many ways. And there's a garden growing that you have ultimately tended. But you're also you're eyeing off this spare block of land right next to it. And you're looking at this and you're like, well, if I can do this, what else can I create, you know? And apply that in any way. Apply that in the wisdoms you've learned in connection. Apply that in the wisdoms you've learned within your career and your purpose and reconnecting to old goals and dreams. And I feel like a transference of energy, okay? And when I say that, it's a multi-dimensional experience, you know? How I've always been in relationships, I would identify several weaknesses, for example. I haven't been able to open up to trust fully. I haven't been able to meet my match or whatever. Okay, so that's just an example. But how I run a business, how I operate within my career has been super successful and balanced, and I've been able to express myself and my needs and whatever the case may be. There's a transference of energy here. Now apply that however it resonates to you. That one key area where you are learning to push yourself out of, grow from when it comes to self-esteem, when it comes to experiencing adversity. You've already been doing it in another realm. You've already been doing it in another area of your life. Very, very well. Okay, so that could even be, I can't stay in a job too long because I have an issue with authority. However, but you stay and you commit in relationships, friendships that have really tested boundaries even, because you essentially believe in the energy of what it is to be, to connect, to be in partnership. Yeah, do you get what I'm saying? Like, it's, you have already successfully achieved this in another realm. So whatever you are building, learning, growing, whatever you are transcending out of when it comes to self-esteem, anything that has challenged your sense of esteem, you've already done it in another area. So it's like you have built a garden, you've built a path, you've done it here, and now you've identified where else you want to go. But this actually is at the base of everything. You are seeing, feeling, realizing that you are actually quite abundant in many areas. And perhaps the focus was on just one little area. I can't do this, I can't do that. But you are looking around and seeing that you've actually done it in many different ways already. Yeah. If you are having, I just saw this color. If you are having issues, or if you have had esteem issues or adversity issues when it comes to the realms of love, Aquarius, you have quite comfortably determined boundaries. You have quite comfortably expressed your truth, asked for your needs to be met. You have spoken openly and connected fluidly with friendships. Yeah? You know what a healthy connection and experience of love looks like in one way, but yet you may have been challenged in another way. Within your career, you have successfully let go of old situations, you know, and moved on towards, opportunity and optimism with every new chapter in your life. But in love, it's hard to let go, yeah? I'm just using that as an example. There are many, many times that you have applied the theory at knowing that higher wisdom in other areas. So when you're looking at yourself and picking pieces, picking yourself, Aquarius, that is what we do when it comes to esteem. We pick ourselves apart, and I should have done this. And you guys are ruled by air. You're very much in the head too. When you pick yourself apart, the shoulda, coulda, wouldas on anything, there's an opportunity this month to truly see how you've been able to be exactly what you think you should have been in other areas. Okay? What crowns you is worry. And that is simply deciding, do I want to engage that energy or not? You know how far your thoughts will take you. They can take you to this, or they can take you to that. When you look up, are you looking at life as a bleak opportunity to keep experiencing it as that? Or are you looking at it as an abundant opportunity to keep growing and glowing? You are moving towards freedom. You are being freed. So maybe life has presented you with an opportunity to free yourself from responsibilities. Maybe life has freed you from ties that were not healthy. Maybe life has freed you from mindsets that you housed and held for such a long time, some deeper fears, and then life presented you with something and went, you know what, this is that big fear you're worried about. How does that feel? And you are okay. You find new ways of perceiving it, yeah? You are walking towards freedom, my friend. And I hope by the end of this month, you are galloping towards it. Because you have a big role. I don't want to create even more pressure on your shoulders. But you have a big role in the coming years for us all. Even in the humble places you find yourself in, the connections you have, the families you have, the people you inspire, the hearts you touch, the workplaces you go to. I feel like I'm speaking to so many Aquariuses that are shifting. As that old dark world is crumbling, you are seeing yourself in a whole new way. You are seeing your purpose in a whole new way. Something is blending here. Something is coming together. You are being shown your true north, okay? And I feel in many ways, as that old world crumbles, friendships, connections, old careers, everyday routines, they go with it, okay? That is perhaps the biggest challenge of what awakening it is, you know? Awakening is awakening to the fact of who we truly are. And when we're brave enough to engage authenticity, we must be brave enough to let go of anything that it is not. And there are many times in the crossroads of life that demand we are authentic with self. Are you willing to stand alone when all else stands against you? You know, this is about deeper conviction stuff, deeper knowing stuff, going back to blueprint, the original plan. This is who you are. This is who you are, Aquarius. You were born unto this world, feeling this. And then life happens, yeah? Those higher ideals, visions, knowing that you have about anything and everything. This feels very soul-purposey. Practically soulful, I get it. This feels very soul-purposey, the Aquariuses that I'm connecting into. You know what this feels like. Okay, let's take a look at your quadrants, your 4 weeks. No jumpers, maybe one. Divine Fire, Queen of Wands. Ah, there you are. You are committing to yourself. You are embodying a lot of feminine energy this month. 1, 2, 3. And that's you too. Underneath all this, you are the Ace of Swords. You know, the Ace of Swords is like a tower moment. It is instant mental clarity. It is the sword of truth. And maybe life, Aquarius, has gone and went whoosh at some point across the last 2 years. This 2 years is big, okay, for you. The 2-year journey of esteem, adversity, freedom, yeah, holding back from life, being too afraid to truly look at the crux of anything and everything even. Name your vice. She drops one though. In her state of low self-esteem, in her state of fear, she drops a sword. She lifts her blindfold. And you know what the result is? 1. She's wielding a sword. When you drop a burden, when you drop an old role, when you drop old beliefs, when you drop old fears, you are suddenly empowered. You are suddenly balanced with clarity about who you are and what you want to do moving forward. The Ace of Swords cuts away all dross. This is a graduation card. For many Aquariuses that I was connecting into, this is a leveling up, okay? It feels very much like life purpose, soul purpose. It's about getting back to the blueprint. And it is all about this. It is all about this. Life has shaped you. It has gifted you with connections, experiences, adversities, challenges that have tested your belief, faith in freedom, your beliefs about what esteem is. Yeah? Super abundant time. This is manifestation energy. You know, maybe I'm speaking to Aquariuses that are starting projects, and 9 months from now, watch what you can gestate. You know, this is a gestation period. Yes, the Empress, when she shows up, she's not just a manifestor. She manifests life, a whole new life. And sometimes that has to come as a shock, like a surprise pregnancy. Yeah, who's ever ready for that? But this is not about being a pregnant female, okay? Apply it metaphorically. Who you are, the individual you are before you become a mother, and who you are after are 2 different people. Who you were before, Aquarius, has got nothing on the essence of what you choose to embody moving forward. If you take this, if you accept this, if you take it on, without fear, if you take it on with strong clarity of self and you get back to blueprint. I feel like you've been handed something recently that is a sudden clarity, and it may have come packaged in what looks to you like adversity. You may have lost your job, you may have been told something drastic, you may have, relationships ending. Keep looking is what I want to say. There is a gift in this. There is no way of knowing when we initially become pregnant how much that energy can truly alchemize us from the inside out. When a woman is 6 to 8 weeks pregnant and she's going through morning sickness and this deep transformation that's happening to her physical body is only thanks to something as small as a grain of rice. That grain of rice is a metaphor for an idea, a soul call, a knowing that you have had. I'm speaking to Aquariuses that are going through this alchemy. You really are coming together. This is something for the family, something to celebrate, okay? You will be celebrating. Even if you don't feel like it right now, because I get it, you're working in adversity, you're moving away from self-esteem, it's this cha-cha process with worry and all that sort of stuff. I'm telling you now, the way frequencies work, it is like listening to radio stations in a car. Just because one station is playing doesn't mean that's yours. You are free to choose. And you know what? Even if you go satellite, you are free to choose so much more. You are celebrating. There's a coming together of soul family connections, ties that bind. Okay, actually, guys, this is a celebration of a pregnancy, just as a heads up. But metaphorically, this is a celebration of love, congeniality, those connections that feel like home. Those connections that are worth nurturing, projects that are worth nurturing, lifestyles, routines, new ways of looking at life. What are you manifesting? You've got everything you need. You have everything you need, Aquarius, for this whole new chapter. You are learning and moving away from loss. And in many ways, I think by the 4th week of April, okay, what you integrate about what you have lost is so much more valuable than perhaps the raw experience of it was for you. Because you wanted to feel in control. You wanted to, as like that vision I saw earlier, okay, that dark crumbling city. You wanted to feel in control. You were trying to probably even perhaps run around and fix that stuff. But it was crumbling at a pace a lot faster than you could. So that you can truly just surrender and experience the freedom of transition. It's uncomfortable, yeah, standing on shifting sands. But sometimes we can glide. Sometimes it falls and moves in a way that's therapeutic and rocking. We can just observe and identify and see the shapes it makes when it moves. There's so many ways of looking at it. And I know that's really hard to take on board when we're going through some really deep transition stuff. I get it. Because you have met authenticity on some level, and it has demanded that you be authentic back. And this is what your little dance of life has been this month. Did you hear the trumpet? Because it's calling your name. There is something bigger and far greater that is calling you this month. Past life contracts. So the return, I keep getting the return of soul family, the return of where you have meant to be, the connections you have meant to have had. I just see this rerouting, okay? So if that was an old job you had, you are going to be, that old crumbling world is ultimately redirecting you to the original blueprint, the original connections you were meant to have, the original experience, the old dreams from the past life knowing. Go as far back as that even. There is something big formulating. Okay, you connecting into your higher self has been a theme in the first couple of weeks of this month. You connecting in to the divine fire, that creative essence, okay? When the Queen of Wands shows up, she's protected by the wisdom of her experiences long past. So too is the High Priestess. She is actually pillared by them, both light and shadow. They have served a purpose. And without that true union within self, this is the Aquarius as I'm speaking to, there's been a union of this knowing, okay? Your old blueprint, your old knowing, your old wisdom, and this surrendering and letting go of anything that you thought you should have been. You know, there's been this alchemy at play, and it's connected you into higher versions of yourself, higher knowing. You're not holding back anymore. And if you are, because I do see in the third week you're influenced by fear too. You know, there's this cha-cha that's happening between self-esteem, worry, what it is to experience adversity. You know, you are swimming against currents in some ways this month. I get it. But like I said, once she drops one sword, she can see things from a whole new way. And when that dark city comes crumbling down, as a visual, what is there? What do you see? She's at the beach, or at least lakeside. But when she's got that blindfold on, everything looks dark. Look at this card. This new moon is significant for you. Okay, we are in Taurus. The second week of April has been significant for you. The last 2-year journey has been significant for you. If you haven't already, under the energy of this new moon, which you have only just hit on April 22nd, you are ready in some way to truly let go of fear. This might be in relation to love, okay? Making a commitment to achieve your heart's longing and wish fulfillment. What is it that you want to be guided by? This is you, the essence of you. You are committing to your original essence. You are committing to whatever makes you feel emotionally satisfied when it comes to being your true self, following your true calling, balancing the elements that ultimately make you everything that you are. April's huge for you. There's emotional mastery and a nurturing. So the nurturing part is important. When we look at the Queen of Cups, you have had to nurture your emotions through your perceptions around what fear is and how much fear has truly held you back in all levels of being, all connections, all areas, all experiences. You have had to nurture and mother yourself through your fears. But there's this new way of looking at it, this new perception, these new beliefs, these new ideas that have been permeating your being. There's this rise in optimism, this fire, this spark, this enthusiasm that has made itself known to you this month, Aquarius. And ultimately, it's about emotional mastering. Remember, you are the water bearer. You rule air, okay? Because the swords focus on the element of air, all right? You absolutely rule air, but you also know that air can rule you. Our mind can rule us, yeah? And it was in connecting to your emotional body, which you perhaps don't do frequently, that you found this freedom, this enthusiasm. You came across this new perception that offered you, it was news, it was an awakening. It was, you know, maybe even someone said to you, hey, have you thought of doing things this way? Maybe you are feeling youthful and creative, and that spark of life has re-entered your world in some way after taking off that blindfold. This is crippling fear. So if I was to say anyone didn't have any self-esteem in the tarot, this is definitely one of the individuals that doesn't. But in connecting to the emotional body and getting to the source of what it is that we most fear, our emotions, our deeper states, yeah? You are the water bearer. You hold emotions so well, and sometimes so well that you hide them so far back. And your natural processing is through the mind. But to get to the heart, we have to feel it. You've done that this month, and you definitely will be. And the gift to you then is this new youthful spark and drive for direction, purpose, self, knowing self at a deeper level. seeing your path and opportunities from a whole new way. There is something tangible here that grows for you, and you will begin to manifest and truly see how everything has happened exactly as it's needed to. This is the balancing of karma. You will have proof of why everything had to happen exactly as it did, Aquarius, to deliver you unto yourself. That's what this gift has been for you this month. That's what April is all about. You're working with manifestation energy, and you should be. Watch how quickly you can grow and manifest things into being, because you are no longer playing by the old rules. And yes, we are the ones that agree to those rules. Connecting in with authenticity this month has offered you the opportunity to really let go of the blindfold of who you have been told you should be, compared to who you have known deep down you are all along, and how you are now allowing that individual to come forward, and how that individual experiences love, career, growth is going to be completely different to the old individual. Yeah? You are manifesting this month, and you are walking towards, there is nothing to walk back to. That world does not exist. And you will do your head in trying to understand why, trying to keep playing an old role, trying to, because you can go both ways here, I feel. But just keep that visual with you, all right? Keep that visual with you. Like I said, it's everything is crumbling down. It is all dark. But what comes and shows up in its place, that is the key. That is your vision. That is your new world. And if you truly are trying to chuck band-aids on everything and trying to hold everything in place, there's a valuable lesson in that. You know, it's why? Why am I trying to keep everything intact? Is it out of this energy? Is it because I'm so good at adversity and fixing things? Is it because that's who I believe I am, and that's the greatest the world can be for me? Yeah? What about this? What about this? Remember her? Remember him? Remember who you are. Freedom is something you deeply value, and it is the essence that you are emitting, experiencing, and being challenged by this month. Because in order to truly accept freedom as a pathway, we must let go of the old. You are not there anymore. Okay? Lots of love, Aquarius. Beautiful energy as always. Your readings are going to be the bomb for the next 3 years. I can feel it. And I'm just going to keep pushing you. If you were here, I would physically push you. You already know this. You have felt this soul calling. This time has come. Has been coming for a very long time. Little ways and in nurturing ways. You are the guide. And we are just waiting for you to show us the way. Okay, until next month. And until your next weekly reading. Up later. Take care.